OBS acting up.
What the fuck?
Oh, we're live.
Bro,
Brother,
what?
we are live.
Alright. We're out here.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Kings, Queens, and In-Betweens to City Boys Extra
Oh,
Time.
yeah.
It is Monday night. Time to go over the MLS Match Day number 4. We're 4 weeks in. Grayson, how are you doing tonight, boss?
I'm doing good. It's a good Monday. We had a very exciting week of MLS play, and it was a good time, dude. I watched most of these games, but we had really good weather, so it was hard to sit in my room and watch all the games, but I had to do it. I had to do it.
I know true sicko behavior is choosing one of the first nice weekends in March to sit inside and watch MLS soccer, but honestly, we had to do it. There were some really great fixtures from throughout the league. I was responsible for going over the East this weekend, so I'm really excited to talk about the likes of Charlotte and Cincy, the MLS Cup finalists, New York Red Bulls got active this weekend, so we got a lot to talk about. Grayson, what games did you
Yeah,
like watching this week?
yeah. So, I mean, I'm in charge of the Western Conference matchups for this week, but for me, there was a lot of great games. I think, of course, right now everyone's talking about the Miami Atlanta game. That one was a lot of fun. We got to see a, a really good, classic Messi performance. It was just a great all around game. Uh,
A treat for Sunday night soccer, no doubt.
Oh, and dude, not to mention the bangers. There was some crazy goals this week too.
It is honestly not even a surprise anymore that the MLS just produces some just top class goals. It's become self aware now. If you look in the comments of any MLS goal, all of them say average MLS MLS goal, typical MLS
Yeah.
goal, Puskas nomination. We are truly treated every week.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll get a couple more like really shitty dribbling goals, but later in the season as, people get tired and we get tired of scoring bangers, but I don't know. I'm really hoping that MLS just keeps up the excitement cuz it's getting fun out here. It's getting
It
fun.
is, Grayson. It is. Of course, we loved watching St. Louis City this weekend. They had a really good game in the Western Conference.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But I have to say my game of the week nomination, I'll just start it off. It's going to be Kansas City versus Minnesota cuz that game was nuts.
It truly had it all. A come from behind effort from Kansas City. The high vis ball coming out in March. Love to see the orange MLS ball come out in what you would assume to be nearly spring break. And to top it all off, we are treated to a worldy of a goal from that game.
Oh yeah. Yeah, just a lot of good games this week. Honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of this winter ball. I really like the yellow and blue Nike winter ball from the Premier League a couple years ago. That's like top tier winter ball for me. But this orange one just because there's not really any snow on the ground, it just meshing with the green. It just did not look good on TV like at
It's the
all.
neon that makes it like a nasty highlighter.
Oh yeah, it's just not great, not great. But let's go ahead and get into our match recaps. I'll go ahead and start it off because we're getting into the Western Conference for this one. We're going to start it off with LAFC versus Austin FC. Whoa, there we go. There we go. Okay. So Austin wins this one 1-0 after a very early goal in the 11th minute. It's a really powerful, well placed header to the bottom left corner from the left back Guilherme Biro. And Lloris couldn't reach it, and Timothy Tillman was standing on that post looking lost. He did not seem to know at all what was going on.
You can just kind of tell sometimes when an attacking player is forced to come back for a corner kick.
Yeah, he just didn't seem focused at all. So, and I love Timothy Tillman. I sang this dude's praises. He really shows up every time he plays against St. Louis. So, you know, annoying dude. Why don't you have a game like this against us? Like that'd be wonderful. Uh, but in other news, Sengiz Under makes his MLS debut on the right wing. He looked pretty good. A slow start. Nothing to show for it this week, but as the match days come and go, I think we're gonna start to see some goal contributions from him. And of course, Brad Stuver, goalkeeper from Austin, once again a man of the match performance. He's just nutty, great player, and he's always one that frustrates them. And LAFC has a great offense. So shutting out LAFC is a big statement. I'd have to say.
It is, especially for Austin, who hasn't really got their attack going yet this season. You mentioned they got the lone goal early on.
Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting because they did sign Brandon Vasquez, who a lot of people thought was going to be transformative to this Austin FC offense. So far, we've seen a lot of Arudi. I think he's been pretty. He looks good. He hasn't had too many goals to show for it, but once things start to come off, we'll see how it goes for them. Moving on into match day 2, of course, my nomination for game of the week is Minnesota versus Kansas City, and it starts off with a contender for goal of the season for me because Hassani Dotson has a clearance fall to him. He winds up and just gets a hold of it, pinging it into the top left corner. This goal was just absolutely insane. Could not have hit it better at all.
The perfect side volley connection. I mean, those are the ones you dream about.
Yeah, just insane stuff. Second goal is all from Halongwane with an inch perfect cross, and it's just a beautiful counterattack there from Minnesota. I mean, everyone knows they have fantastic offensive quality, and this was just another example. Third goal comes right off the kickoff of halftime. It's a simple giveaway from Kansas City, sends Olawashe in, and some nice ball movement from Minnesota ends in an easy tap in. And at that point, it's 3-0. Game looks done and dusted. But then Kansas City gets their first through Daniel Shalhoub, who I picked personally to be Kansas City's player of the season. Nice tap in, far post past the keeper, off of a ball in over the top, and that really sparks Kansas City from there. Great 1v1 attacking and a dangerous cross leads to an own goal against Minnesota to double that Kansas City comeback there. And then the man, Dejan Joveljic, the key signing across, uh, scores a beauty. Like, takes up 1v1 on his man, dinks it to the far post, bends it in off the post. It had to be perfect, and it was. Uh, and I gotta say, I talk a lot of shit on Kansas City, but coming back from 3-0 down against Minnesota is a statement, and that's a very important point early on in the season because they're not starting off too hot.
That will reflect very good for Kansas City later on in the season. I think they will play Minnesota again, most likely in Minnesota. So there's going to be a lot to play for between the two teams. Minnesota is not going to forget giving up a 3 goal lead, and unfortunately, it probably will inspire Kansas City a little bit to come back after going 3-0 down. That is never an easy task for a team, and I think definitely could be something for them to rally behind should they come up against some adversity this season.
Next matchup, we're going to talk about a team on the other end of the spectrum here. We're talking the Vancouver Whitecaps at the very top of the table up there. They continue their perfect 4-0 form with a 1-0 win against Dallas. And it's just a really good game overall here. It's clear that Dallas has a ton of individual talent, but it just hasn't come off just quite yet. There's a lot of moments in this match that Lucia Acosta gets visibly frustrated after trying to take on two or three guys and getting stopped up defensively. Uh, it looks like he's just right now creatively out of options. And that's weird when you have a fantastic striker like Peter Musa. So they got to get something going there, and I have no doubt that Dallas will come good because they also have Martin Paez once again showing off his goaltending ability. But it would be an amazing cross from JC Engano to the head of Tristan Blackman, the defender, that would break that deadlock and make it 1-0 very late on in the game for those 3 points for Vancouver to take them to the top of the table. Next up, RSL, Real Salt Lake versus Houston. Real Salt Lake's gaining some momentum here with a 2-1 win. Came out hot, scoring in the opening run of play. Their new number 10, Diogo, tucking the ball in the back of the net in 44 seconds. Like, super clean, like full team play here. Diego Luna is heavily involved, making runs off the ball. Of course, yeah, and they've had a slow start, but Diego Luna's got the mask off. He's feeling himself, and he would also get his goal because it would be his header, his bullet header, that would win the game over Houston. 15th minute, though, Jack McGlynn delivers a beamer of a cross onto the head of Eric Ponce. And, Jack McGlynn's showing his quality once again. It was
It looks like
crazy.
he's finding his feet in Houston now. He's had a little more time in training probably. They've worked on set pieces. He's probably just getting to spend more time with the team and gelling, and I believe I said it last week, Grayson. If Houston can put these pieces together, I think they could potentially be dangerous. They were able to steal a point from Columbus. They go in and challenge here. So who knows? I don't. They haven't figured it out just yet, but they've annoyed St. Louis in the past. I could see that continuing.
Oh yeah. Uh, I would say there is a bit of controversy in this game because Bossy hits a rocket to the bottom left corner, but a Houston player was coming from an offside position and may have interfered with the keeper's line of vision. It's a really tough call because the keeper's not getting there anyways. It's a crazy goal. Super unlucky to get disallowed because that I mean, it was a banger. Just super unlucky.
Yeah, and those field of vision calls are so difficult to call in the goalkeeper's favor because it's very subjective. I mean, what is in the field of vision? You know what I mean? If there's a shirtless big guy dancing in the stands, is that in the field of vision as well? Can VAR take that back? I don't think so. Is it distracting though? Probably. So for me, I don't like the line of vision argument.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, but of course you just got to be on sides and you can do it. You can get in
I
their
mean, I
way.
feel like you're taught get in the goalkeeper's line of vision, make it difficult for him. You don't just want to let the goalkeeper have his best chance.
Right, right, right. But it's ridiculous, but it's a tricky call. Moving on to our favorite game of the match day. If you can tell from the background here, it's kind of blurry, but you can kind of make it out. It's St. Louis City SC edging out Seattle in a 1-0 game. Pretty depleted Seattle, of course, but they put out a very respectable performance. One word to describe this match: Leuven. Let's go. What a rocket from him. If you guys haven't seen this free kick, you're not you must not be a City Boys fan.
It is a goal of the week nominee as well.
Oh, easily a goal of the week nominee here. It's nutty. And I also gotta mention Henry Kessler continuing to lock down the STL defense. They still have not conceded a goal in 2025. So, who's gonna do it? I don't know at this point. Uh, Late controversy though, as St. Louis does have a penalty called against them for Seattle, but it is then overturned from a handball call just prior to the foul. Very, very lucky for St. Louis City. Personally, we can't rely on handballs to get the dubs. We gotta have two or three more goals in there.
Agreed. St. Louis's offense is slightly off to a slow start. We did have the three really good goals against the Los Angeles Galaxy. Grayson, it's funny because this was your dream victory, a 1-0 win that is ground out, and you're still not satisfied. I love it. We
Nope.
need more from the St. Louis attack. We know what they're capable of, and I agree that Cedric Toyshirt and Marcel Hartzell should be hitting the back of the net in a game like this.
Yeah, we didn't have the most chances, but that's another thing. St. Louis has got to start creating a little bit more chances. We did have some decent takes there, but we just got to be a little bit more clinical. And yeah, I don't want it to be on the decision of a ref to take this game away from us. So I just don't want it. I just don't want it. I only got two more games left here. I've got San Jose falling to the Rapids 2-1 off the back of a
You're
fantastic
crazy.
Zach Steffen performance, and he had 10 saves in this game. And
Sheesh.
that's San Jose's offense. Credit to them; they are a really good side. Of course, Chicho Arango gets a goal here, but they can't beat Zach Steffen enough times. You can't do it, and that would move San Jose down a bit in the table. And it's surprising because I didn't think that St. Louis City would be above San Jose in the table right now, but I am very, very proud.
A lot of people also probably were not expecting San Diego FC to be up there so high. The top three in the West right now were extremely unpredictable, if we're being honest, Grayson.
Whoa. Last match to talk about in the Western Conference, I've got LA versus Portland. That would be the LA Galaxy. And this game had draw written all over it. And if you look down there, it's a draw, 1-1. Goal scorers, we got Felipe Mora, we got Christian Ramirez. Christian Ramirez had a really nice, touch to get that goal, but that goal was going like 1 mile an hour. It was a little pea shooter, but really unlucky that keeper couldn't get to that. But hey, 1-1 for LA Galaxy leaves them adrift at the bottom of the table. They're not doing too hot. Not doing
Brutal
too hot.
hangover in Los Angeles right now. I do want to give credit to Pantemis because that's Portland's goalkeeper. He has put in some fantastic performances already this season. Of course, he had the two penalty saves against Nashville and following it up with only letting in the one goal against LA. I feel like he had some good moments as well. So, I don't know. LA is in they're struggling at the moment. I thought I might have an answer for them. I don't. I don't even want to rub any more salt in the wound. It feels like beating a dead horse right now.
Yeah, I mean they'll get their players back, and I have no doubt that they will get at least 2 or 3 wins this season.
We hope so. We hope so.
Before we move on into the East, let's go ahead and hit these interconference games or
Okay.
interconference game because I think there was just the one this week, which would be San Diego drawing Columbus Crew 1-1. Crew go down a man late trying to prevent the equalizer, but it would not last regardless.
Nope.
They would end up scoring off of a corner kick, a little header to get it in the goal.
The classic corner kick goal.
Yeah,
Like if that's your their coach Wilfred Nancy or no, excuse me, Mikey Varas was stoked about that. Just like yes, just how he drew it up in his head. I know it.
uh, I'm tired of set piece goals. Arsenal has ruined my year with set piece goals. But you know, really the biggest takeaway for me is San Diego are denied another home win, their first home win. They're still looking for it, and they're in second place. So I think their fans are happy, but I'm sure they want more. They
Yeah,
want
that's the
more.
thing. They haven't. They're still waiting on their first loss, but they also are still waiting on their first home win. So they're in a good but odd
Yeah.
place. Like it doesn't have the same undefeated feeling that St. Louis City's first four games had.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure there's no bias whatsoever in that take, but
Yeah. I all I will say is it's a great time to be having this good of a start to the season. Uh,
true.
you know, very reminiscent. It's not super reminiscent of our first season where we went absolutely crazy, but you know, it's I feel a little bit more secure. Like we're building a little bit more slow rather than like throwing it all at the wall right off the bat. But you know,
True. I mean, that's slightly the vibe that the league itself is giving right now is
yeah,
just kind of insanity. San Diego and Columbus drawing 1-1. I going into the season was kind of thinking that yeah, Columbus lost Cucho Hernandez, but it won't be the biggest loss in the league, and yet here they are drawing teams like Houston, drawing San Diego back to back. So they I would say that two of the Columbus crew that we know, they are in a much weaker position than they were going into the year. I do think Max Arfston is showing good performances in the center of the park, and that they do have good quality, especially in a player like DeJuan Jones. But yeah,
I'm
yeah,
thinking,
Columbus.
who's is it? Russell Rowe from
Yep,
Columbus. Oh my God, he had a hell of a game, and I was very surprised that he did not get a goal. But he's definitely a player to watch. He's fantastic.
Similar to Jaden Daniels of the Vancouver Whitecaps, who's just very young, exciting, and it seems like the MLS is starting to get a new crop of homegrown talent. It's very, very exciting.
Oh yeah, but I guess final notes on the table. You want to take a peek at this table over here?
Let's do it.
So of course, top three looking very nice for us. We got Vancouver Whitecaps, of course, perfect so far this season. San Diego,
Great.
new team coming in. St. Louis City, defensively the best team in the league at the moment. Colorado Rapids are a fantastic team. Last year, they really showed people that they're not the team to get pushed around anymore. They added Jordy Mihailovic, who had a hell of a season. Right below them, Minnesota United, who I rate to be one of the best teams this season.
Yeah,
And
this
then
this is good for them.
you got San Jose, who just had a complete turnaround there. I guess near the bottom of the table, I'm surprised that Sporting Kansas City is above LA Galaxy right now. That is
That is
absurd.
very weird. I mean, the bottom five of the table, you would, I mean, this is maybe an old head take, but 10 years ago would have looked like the top five in the table, if you ask me. I mean, these are five pretty high pedigree MLS teams. The LA Galaxy, the most the winningest team in the MLS, Houston Dynamo, not quite an OG. Sporting Kansas City, an OG. The Portland Timbers, an OG, and FC Dallas as well. So it's pretty shocking to see a lot of these teams in the position that they're in at the moment. However, it's still early goings.
You're right. You're right. So we'll see how it starts to shape out. But if you could take this table right now for the end of the season, or at least to playoffs, you take that. You take a strong third place. I think I would too.
City in third, matching up against, let's see, either Austin or LA. Maybe, yeah, San Jose or Austin. I like those games. I like those games. Speaking of San Jose, before we move into the East, I do want to show some love. Since our City Boy spotlight on them, I have slightly grown an affection for the San Jose Earthquakes. I can't lie. They're
Yeah,
just a very quirky team, and their man Christian Espinosa is has hit Iron Man status. He started 123 consecutive games or something like that. I
that's
actually don't
insane.
know the number, but that is insane longevity.
He
I
just doesn't
also
get injured.
the thing that I found most insane from that stat though is that Luis Robles played over 180 straight games for the New York Red Bulls. Isn't that like 5 seasons, like 5 or 6 seasons straight of
Yeah,
games? If there's 34 matches now in a season, that's 5 straight seasons of not missing a game.
we need to figure out what he's eating.
Yeah, get that man's diet and lock it in. I'm curious. I gotta know. All right,
Uh,
Grayson, you ready to get over into the East?
yeah, let's go ahead and take it over to the Eastern Conference.
Come over to my neck of the woods. Get over into the Eastern time zone.
Welcome to my life.
We're going to kick it off with the New York Red Bulls versus Orlando City, who would get started with a 2-2 draw. However, Orlando City's attack is a sleeper agent. They have Martin Ojeda, Pasalic, Muriel. Like, they have some very quality names on their roster. And Martin Ojeda would get the scoring started with a banger in New York. He carries it from nearly half field to the top of the box and just smashes it into the top right corner. You know, one of those ones where the defender is trying to track him down at full speed. He just gets it into shooting position and clutch. Great, great goal. The New York Red Bulls would draw level on a PK slotted home by Eric Choupo-Moting in the 29th minute. Good to see. Not surprising that he has been impactful for New York.
Yeah, I'm a massive fan of his, so I'm glad that he finally got his goal. And it is a PK, so you know I'm just glad it went in. It's all that matters.
Right? Sometimes strikers just need to see the ball hit the back of the net. That has a psychological impact that just raises the confidence level of most strikers. Pasalic would then go on to continue his lightning form so far this season. He has been on fire. He would get it behind in the 38th minute and bring Orlando ahead. He he was in so far behind that he even took a cheeky peek across the line at the linesman to make sure he's onside before slotting it home. I mean, that is confidence right there. Gengyar, which I learned is a crazy name in the MLS, not the Pokemon.
Yeah, I was about to say
Gengyar for New
Gengar.
York Red Bulls would then poke it home in the 46th minute, right after the second half got started. And I thought he pelvis touched this one in. I thought he humped it in. I can't lie, but nope, it came in off the knee, and that's how the scoring would shake out in New York that day. 2-2 between the Red Bulls and Orlando City. For me, from that game, it's clear to see that a lot of the New York Red Bull offense runs through Emil Forsberg. So many of their chances were created by him. It seems like New York is off to somewhat of a slow start after their
Mm.
Eastern Conference championship last season. However, I think it's just early going still.
Yeah, I feel like the Red Bulls kind of had that season last year too, where they just had a slow start and they built it up, gathered momentum as the year went on, and by the time they made it to the playoffs, they had figured out their defense,
Yep.
and they started popping in some goals too, and they took it all to the way to the final game.
And honestly, John Tolkien was probably a pretty influential player in the locker room at the very least. Whether or not, because the outside back position on the field generally is not the most impactful. I think that leadership though had probably left a dent in New York.
Yeah, I know he's having a pretty decent start to life over in Germany, so kudos to him.
Moving into Charlotte versus Cincinnati, this result kind of surprised me. Charlotte would take a 2-0 victory over FC Cincinnati, a team getting off to a slow start in the East right now. They would take on Zaha, Agumang, and Co. in Charlotte, and those two names draw the most eyes for Charlotte FC, but they have quietly put together a very good spine of a team. Of course, they have Tim Ream, who now plays left back for them. Jacob called them into question earlier this year, but I personally believe that he has complemented Wilfred Zaha very well on that left side.
Yeah, I mean, I was also very skeptical when I saw him playing left back. I was like, "Oh, this ain't it." But I did see them play, and the way that Charlotte are able to control the ball, you don't get Tim Ream in a lot of 1v1 situations, so
Right.
that's pretty decent. And that means you also get to use his fantastic distribution a little bit further up the pitch. So it's a very creative way to use Tim, but
Yep.
it's working out pretty well.
I mean, that is Tim Ream at left back is such a 2025 soccer thing to happen. I think in almost any other era of football, he's probably phased out. So kudos to Charlotte FC to be able to figure that out and keep him included in the team because they also have major players like last season's goalkeeper of the year, Kalinia. Their center mid pairing of Westwood and Bronico are also extremely good. They have, like I said, Charlotte FC very quietly put together a good squad. If you watched Onside, the MLS documentary on Apple TV, you know that Charlotte FC was a they were going after Marco Royce aggressively. They actually thought they had his signature, and then LA Galaxy came in at the last
You
second to take
thought.
it. I think that if you're Charlotte's GM, you have to feel so good. You might have seen Marco Royce win a championship in the short term, and you're fuming a bit. But I mean, after seeing Wilfred Zaha's production compared to Marco Royce this season, I think you just got to know you won that. I digress though. We haven't even gotten to the game. Kubo, Evander, and Denki, even Buko were fine for Cincinnati against Charlotte FC, but a bad giveaway from Cincinnati right on the halfway line would kick us off in the second half. A bad header backwards put Lille Abada in on goal, and Beal would just tuck it home. It was as easy as it gets. For the second goal, Patrick Agumang, the U.S. men's national team's newest front man, would calmly put Charlotte away by 2 goals and close the game out. I'm excited to see how he performs with the U.S. in this upcoming camp, Grayson. What do you think? Do you think he's a starting man?
Yeah, I actually just read an article about how a lot of the players that got called up to that camp, the U.S. men's national team camp, are doing very well. We got Brian White doing very well with Vancouver. We got Diego Luna doing very well with RSL, and we got Patrick Aguiman also getting his foot on the ball and putting the ball in the back of the net. And so I'm very excited to see what a couple of these MLS guys can do, and if they can really make a big statement on the squad. It is a pretty European heavy team still, so we'll see.
Very
How
true.
much they'll actually play, but I think Aguiman at least has a bit more of an option now that USA hasn't necessarily locked down that number 9 role, even with the
Nope.
players that we've recently had. Ricardo Pepi's finding his form again, so um, it's going to be a good one. I'm very excited for this USA window here. We'll see how we do.
There is a chance for Patrick Aguiman to make a name for himself in this camp, no doubt about it. I do want to close that game out just by saying that Cincinnati self-destructed even further in this game. Their starting center back Gilberto
Ugh.
Flores would get a red card early on in the game, and they are just hurting right now. They are not getting off to the start that Cincinnati thought they were. I don't think. We'll move back north up to New York City once again in New York City FC versus New England. Now, Grayson, I don't think there's a derby name for this game just yet, so I have a few options for us. Will you give me some feedback on these?
Okay, let's go.
All right, first up, I got the Northeastern Nasty Attitude Derby.
Okay, I like that. I like
It's all
that.
right. Yeah, it's all right. It kind of rolls off the tongue a little bit. The Hey, I'm Walking Here Derby.
That's a good one. I like that.
It's not bad. Or, and last but not least, the Anything But a Soccer Stadium Derby.
That's good too. Yeah, that is good.
They all work, but and I make jokes, but it would probably be pretty cool to see a soccer game in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, like Jacob has mentioned a couple times on the pod, the football stadiums are a bit better to watch soccer in than the baseball stadiums. I will
Yeah,
say the first the the most life changing game of soccer I ever saw was at Busch Stadium, the St. Louis Cardinal Stadium, being Man City versus Chelsea, and the fields didn't exactly line up, and there kind of was a weird dirt patch in the outfield, but you know, it's still the venue isn't all that matters. It's about the moment. So
exactly, exactly. And it's all just jokes. It's all love up there. I'm glad to see that they can make some good out of that because, to my great surprise, the New England Revolution would actually take the lead against NYCFC. Can you believe it, Grayson? In the 25th minute, everybody's least favorite player, own goal, would get on the score sheet. Tiago Martins, the NYCFC captain, would get very unlucky and send his clearance floating right into the back of the net. They say that one of the hardest things to do in sports is hit a fastball. There's swimming a race, running the decathlon, those kinds of feats. But not often mentioned is clearing the ball while running at your own goal. It is a very difficult task. If you are a young player listening to this, get that in your locker and you will be elite. I promise. NYCFC would not let their noisy neighbors party for too long, though. They would break through just 12 minutes later in the way of Hannes Wolf leveling in Julian Fernandez. He would calmly bring NYCFC just level into the bottom corner. We cannot discount Carles Heel's play enough. He is still such a good player. They are far removed from the Supporter Shield winning times in New England, but he is still at the top of his game. He had just an incredible moment dribbling in this game. Another bright spot for New England is probably their keeper. I think Ivacic is a very good goalie. He made a great save in the 67th minute just for Alonso Martinez to turn home another goal of the week nominee little side bike right inside the 18. Rocket ship of a goal. NYCFC would finish the game 2-1 to keep all 3 points and defeat Boston in the New York Boston rivalry once again.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy about that, not gonna lie. I'm not the biggest Revolution fan. I feel like NYCFC, I'm just kind of I'm mediocre on. They I don't know too much about their squad right now. They're far from the days of the team that I used to know. And yeah.
They have changed quite a bit. So we're going to move into DC United in Montreal, but we're going to keep it quick because this was a nil-nil draw. Boo, tomato,
Yeah.
tomato, tomato. One of the most, I think that's the only nil-nil draw of the weekend.
Mhm.
Both keepers would show up big for their sides. Jonathan Siroy for Montreal made 7 saves, and Kim Jun Hong made 3 saves. His first clean sheet for DC United. Grayson, you know I love poking you about Christian Benteke, and guess what? No goal for him this week,
No
but he
goals.
did have a goal disallowed. So
Of course.
I think he might have heard you
It's
in
the
the
agenda.
predictions, and he the MLS is on your case. Another note about Montreal, though, they have not scored since putting up 2 goals against Atlanta in the season opener.
Ooh. Not a great look. I can't lie.
Not ideal. They haven't played St. Louis City. It's not like they've been up against the best defense in the league. I just wanted to be a little cocky for a second. So I think Montreal is just an attack that is looking to figure things out. I do not have an answer for them at the moment. I know Mosquera is a good player. Maybe they can play through him a little more. I just can't speak to Montreal good enough.
Yeah.
They're a bit of a blind spot for me. I'll be completely honest.
They did some decent movement in the summer, but I'm not convinced it's enough yet.
I don't know if by decent you mean letting Joseph Martinez, one of the MLS's best striker, go pair up with one of the other MLS best strikers in San Jose. Then sure,
Ah,
but
fair.
we'll see. We'll see. We'll move just a little south, or actually, I guess north from DC because Philadelphia and Nashville would take each other on. And Grayson, going into this game on Sunday, I was thinking to myself, Philly has got this so in the bag. They have been on fire this season, perfect through 3 so far. No chance Nashville goes
Yeah.
to Philadelphia and really does anything, if I'm being honest. I could not have been more wrong. All right, Sam Surridge would get us started in the 15th minute, bagging his first goal of the season, and it was classy. He sits down the first defender, sits down the second defender, and then puts it back to the near post after sitting down the goalkeeper. Really good stuff from their English striker. They needed a not just a goal from one of their talisman. They needed a great goal, and Sam Surridge provided some momentum for Nashville in this moment. Jovan Lukic would put the ball away for Philly to bring them level. Not too much later on, the ball would get punched out from a corner kick. Maybe he headed out. Either way, the ball would drop to him right inside the 18, and we would see another banging volley goal. Nothing sweeter than when you hit it and it just hits the back of the net. No bounce, goes through some people. Really lovely finish from Jovan Lukic there. Surprising out of all of the players on the Philadelphia Union to bag 1 goal against Nashville SC, it's Jovan Lukic. You think
Yeah.
maybe the top goal scorer in the league, Tiberi Bow, maybe Kai Wagner, he has that in him from time to time. Nope.
Uh, Lukic is. I think Lukic had. Did he have that rocket with Indiana Vasilov the other week?
Yeah, he did.
That one was so sweet. So I don't know.
On He's gonna be on people's scouting reports. Just says pure strike
Just he's a swinger. He can hit. He
on
can hit
the.
rockets. Hold on a minute.
He's I don't know if they'll call him swinger on the scouting reports, but he's definitely swinging at that ball. Next on the score sheet would be Nashville's newcomer Ahmad Kassem, who would would get his second goal of the season and his second start of the season. Grayson, we are putting the City Boys fandom on Rookie of the Year watch. If you are not familiar with the name, get it familiar now. Ahmed Kasim for Nashville SC. I believe he's 19 years old. He scored in two straight games for Nashville. He has been so far their spark plug when they needed it. They thought their offense would be running through the man Hani Mukhtar. Instead, it's a homegrown for the team.
Who knew? Who knew?
To finish off Nashville's flurry, Hani Mukhtar would get his first goal of the season by way of a penalty kick, but instead of taking a normal penalty kick in Hani Mukhtar, former MLS MVP fashion, he Panenkas it just to put the dagger
Drew.
in Philadelphia. Not even one of the lofty Panenka penalties. So dinky, so cheeky. Andre Blake, no less. Tough
Rude.
scenes in Philadelphia. It's really brutal. Really brutal. The last interesting moment in this match would actually come late on in added time when Philadelphia would win themselves a penalty. Quinn Sullivan would step up to take it. And I was thinking, okay, maybe Quinn Sullivan can still announce himself in this game for Philadelphia, get some kind of consolation from this game, but no. He would have his penalty kick saved, and then a fantastic double save would be made to ensure Nashville's first victory of the season, coming in Philadelphia of all places, Grayson.
Yeah, I was very surprised that Philly took an L. I thought they were the I thought they were gonna be the team that lasted the longest with their unbeaten streak, and Vancouver
Okay.
is just proving me wrong.
I mean, yeah, the Bradley Carnell contingency up there has been performing strong. If I'm being honest, they looked like a completely different team than the Philly that played in the first three games of the season. I was not impressed by this Philadelphia side whatsoever.
Yeah, I think they are a very good side, and this, like you mentioned in the City Boys episode this week, this was a game that it was just Nashville taking over. And I gotta shout out it again because Walker Zimmerman had a game this week, holding down the back line. He was just everywhere, trying his best to be like Henry Kessler. Uh, and it was a man of the match performance from him, holding it down. And it does take a lot to shut down a Philly side like this. So
they There's just so much that momentum can do for a team, and for them to essentially throw it away this early on in the season is opening up the door for other teams in the East. Grayson, we got one final game to wrap us up for on the week, and we're gonna open it up just a little bit because I want to talk a little bit more about this game than just recapping it quickly. Because Sunday night soccer between Atlanta United and Miami provided us a treat, my good man.
yeah,
There was the conclusion to some great college basketball on that night. However, you already know what your City Boys were watching. We cannot
yeah,
wait to see Messi in Atlanta in the Mercedes Benz Dome once again. These teams have played each other probably five times, it feels like, in the last 2 months of the MLS seasons, but I don't care. I am eating this matchup up all day. It seems like it brings the best out of both sides. Geographically, I would put them in rivalry range. It's
yeah.
still St. Louis versus Chicago, but geographically, America just doesn't have that kind of luxury.
Yeah, dude, this game was just absurd. You got Messi and Co. A pretty like a full strength Inter Miami,
Yep.
and coming up against a pretty full strength Atlanta. I don't think they were missing too many players, but I mean, Emmanuel Lataloth had a fantastic game again, just showing off his athleticism and skill. going up, getting a header early on in the game, and I think he did have another header late on that was ruled offsides, but just he is proving to be a baller, and
That
he's gonna be fighting for Golden Boot. I think he's a great player. He's got a lot of people
completely
creating
agree.
for him.
I think that early predictions, top three goal scorer is almost certain. He has proved extremely impactful for Atlanta United. He is the kind of player that you can get the ball to his feet, and he has that immense kind of build up play. He can take players on, but I think his most dangerous quality is that aerial threat in the box, like you mentioned, Grayson. And early on in the game, he would open up the scoring. In the 11th minute, a cross would come in, and just he just climbed the ladder. It looked like he was floating up there, and to generate that much power from a stationary header in the air, I mean, come on.
That's Ronaldo esque.
Truly, truly. I mean, he's probably the age where that's the school of heading that he learned from is practicing like Ronaldo. Messi and company would not wait too long though, because what I see here, Grayson, is Atlanta United getting a little complacent, trying to play out of the back, getting letting touches go a little too far, and giving the ball away to one of the game's all-time greatest players on the top of the box with one defender and a goalie to beat is not enough of a challenge for him. And so what does Messi do? He makes a highlight out of it, of course, because what else would Messi do? He sits down the first defender and elects to chip Brad Guzan.
He takes him out for chips. He got him some ruffles, dude. That goal was crazy. Like, just
So Leo Messi.
it shows that he isn't just walking around for no reason. He does play defense. He can win the ball back up high. He'll dribble some players. He'll beat it. He'll beat the defender. He'll beat your goalkeeper. He'll put it in the back of the net. He's old. He knows it. It doesn't matter. He's the goat. He really is the goat.
That confidence that he brings into the team. I mean, you saw what kind of turnout he got in Jamaica. What other person in the world could have 35,000 people? You have to move the game to the country's capital to ensure that the most people can take in the spectacle that is Leo Messi, and he provided in Atlanta absolutely fantastic goal there from the goat himself. That would kind of be the first half though. That was it. That was it. I thought they were the second half is where things really heated up. It got very fast paced, very quick, very electric, and then the subs took the sting out of the game a little bit. Decline, and then I truthfully thought that Atlanta were going to pull out a victory in this game. I thought that yes, Brad Guzan got shipped by Leo Messi in the first half, but my oh my did he stand on his head in this performance. I think the game might just mean a little more to Brad Guzan when Inter Miami is his opponent.
Oh yeah, Taylor Twellman mentioned it I think in the first half of the game, Messi was standing over a free kick, and he mentioned that I think it was the last time, or no, it couldn't have been the last time, but not too long ago, I think it was 2015, 2014. Messi buried a free kick top right corner in that same spot over Brad Guzan
That's
against the
was.
U.S. men's national team, and I feel like Brad thinks about that every time he plays Messi from now on, and now he's gonna be thinking about that chip. Uh,
Yeah.
I was about to say that goal reminded me a lot of that goal he had against Bayern Munich in the
Yep.
Champions League when he sat
Yep.
down. What was that? Jerome Boateng. He sat down
Yeah.
Boateng, and then dinks it over Neuer. You know,
Yeah.
Brad Guzan. If you're getting compared to Neuer, buddy, take it, take it.
That's it. He's in the right company. Well, we can say that at the very least. I know that this game is definitely going to be, and rightfully so, dominated by Miami. The headlines will follow them. You can comment on their tenacity, their competitiveness, their desire to win because of course it is there. I think that might have been in question, but they take out a performance like this and show the I think the league what they are capable of, what they have come to do this season, and it's not just mess around and collect paychecks.
Yeah, I think that Miami, they felt pretty hard done to do so well in regular season and then get smacked out by Atlanta in the playoffs. So this season, I think this season is not about just doing well in the regular season, but actually making a long term playoff run and really figuring out how this team can eke out wins whenever they need to against good teams like Atlanta.
And yeah, I mean the way that they eked out this win as well. It's not. It's the only way Miami could have done this. By the way, is Jordi Alba an early ball into Fafa Pico to. I know Jordi Alba's not
Oh
a veteran
yeah.
of the league, but a veteran of the game. To Fafa Pico, veteran of the league, who hits the equivalent of a Kobe fadeaway in soccer. That's the only way that I can think to describe this because he's coming away from the goal and able just to loft it into that back post. It nudges in off the post. Inter Miami win 2-1 over Atlanta United in a rematch of last year's first round matchup. I wouldn't be surprised if we see them in the playoffs again, but
Oh yeah.
I hope it's a one-off game because oh my god, that's going to be electric.
It's gonna be a great game, and yeah, that second goal was so tight. It just perfect placement. Could not have been better. Placed it right between the Guzan and the defender. So, he made it happen. He made it happen.
From the cross to the finish, just a very very experienced goal there from Inter Miami. Well, Grayson, we have gone through this week's games from the MLS match day. Are you ready to announce this week's goal of the week?
Yeah, I think it's time. Personally, I gotta say, I was trying to be unbiased, and I did vote for what's his name. Uh,
There's a couple. Is it Hassani Dotson?
yeah, I voted for Hassani Dotson's just absolutely wicked volley,
I
because
mean,
it doesn't get better than that, honestly.
objectively, it probably is the best goal. He doesn't even give it time to get below his knees, but you know damn well your boy here was voting for that EU11 set piece because I love. First of all, a good free kick is one of the best goals that you can score in soccer.
Oh yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. I
To
think
see it go up and over the wall, though,
up and
oh,
over.
stop that!
I don't want to dock points, but it could have been more top 90, I guess.
It could have, it could have.
But, we're being picky now. We're being picky.
I think that gives Stephen Fry more of a chance to save it, though. If he can
Exactly.
get up into that, so I love the EU11 sort short set piece goal there.
Oh, it's a
I
it's
love
a
it.
fantastic goal. I don't know if we're gonna get a better free kick than that in the MLS season, but hey, Leuven's out here challenging. The rest of the MLS league is on watch. Try to hit a better free kick. Just try.
Not against us though.
Yeah, not against
I
us.
do
It's
I
not
do
gonna happen.
see that I don't believe I put the fifth goal on there, which is hilarious, but it was Miami's chip goal, Messi's chip goal over Brad Guzan. Oh well, Messi does not get the City Boys goal of the week award. However, Grayson, in a very close 7-6 victory, St. Louis City's Edu Lovin will take home the City Boys goal of the week for match day 4 with his winning free kick goal over the Seattle Sounders.
Yep. It just had to be. It had to be.
You can't hate on it. We had some really, really good picks this week. The volley from right inside the box for Philadelphia's only goal. If Messi's goal would have made it on the pole, it would have been pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that the goal from Houston that was disallowed honestly could have made the top five if it was allowed, but it's too
And
bad.
while we are checking the Instagram story, we do have one response to the thoughts on match day 4. Someone is asking, me, I ask, who is the biggest surprise in the MLS? Because I want to discuss. I think the choice is a little bit obvious, but other than my the obvious choice, I think there's another one that I want to debate a little bit.
Okay.
So what's your pick? Who is your biggest surprise for the MLS so far this season?
Um, I'd have to say my biggest surprise so far this season would have to be it's probably LA Galaxy being so shit and um probably San Diego being where they are on the table. I think it I don't think jeez, I can't even get my words together. I think over time it's going to even out. I think they're playing pretty good, but the rest of the league is going to catch up at some point. I think Philly. I think San Diego is a great team, but I don't think they are second place material.
That Grayson, I would completely agree with. And I was wrong. This is why you don't use the word obviously, folks, because in my opinion, the biggest surprise, of the season so far is the Vancouver Whitecaps sitting at a perfect 4-0 on top of the table with a plus 7 goal differential,
Yeah,
the
it's
highest in the league.
they're such a good team. You know, we saw them face St. Louis a couple times last year, and they both ended 4-1, if I'm not mistaken. So, I think St. Louis fans we knew how good Vancouver was. They just weren't exactly showing it against the rest of the league. But I think, yeah, that team is nasty, and I was a little bummed that they lost Fafa Pico to Miami because he
I
was
mean,
fantastic.
if you add Fafa Pico to this attack, they would be absolutely electric. I think that Brian White, of course, draws a lot of eyes, but I love looking at the defense, and I think that their goalkeeper is a very underrated player as far as their squad goes. Yohei Takaoka is their starting goalkeeper, and he has put in some brilliant performances so far this season. Defense wins championships, all right? So
Yeah,
we'll move on into the next point that I have about the table, Grayson, just because we're getting on in this episode. I saw it too. We were great minds do think alike in this instance. San Diego FC making critics eat their words at second place in the Western Conference right now. Not only I don't it's not just the new team bump. They have a very lightning quick attack with good pieces over the field as well. We can't overlook Luca De La Torre. He's a very good quality player. I think one of the higher quality center mids in the league, probably.
for me, I I kind of disagree. I think San Diego FC is experiencing the new club bump, and as we've mentioned earlier this season when we talked about San Diego, they aren't possessing the best depth in the league. So as match days wear on, as players are getting a ton of minutes in their boots, we're gonna see some injuries, and they've already lost Chucky Lozano. Uh, let's say another one of their players goes down injured. They're gonna have to start figuring out creative ways to keep this offense going, and I don't know. I think over the it's a long season. over the long season,
It
it's
is.
gonna be tricky for them to keep eking out these wins and stay consistent. So, you know, can they stand the test of time? I'm not sure. I do think they are a little bit better than a mid-table side. I want to say maybe fifth, sixth, but I don't think second place is where they are going to end up because there's
Yeah.
so many good teams in the league that haven't haven't found their footing just yet, and I think if they're able to get it, they have a shot at being a bit more consistent than San Diego.
Okay, we shall see, Grayson. Time will tell, and it never lies. Moving into next week, just a slight preview before we wrap this episode up. Let's look ahead and check out some games that we are interested in. There's one jumping out to me very specifically that I think you will agree with me here, Grayson. Philadelphia versus St. Louis, a very, very enticing matchup. However, we're not going to be taking on a full strength Philadelphia.
Yeah, like you said in our City Boys episode last night. If you haven't watched it, I posted it this morning actually, so go ahead and watch that. We talked about the St. Louis City matchup versus the Seattle Sounders. So if you want a deeper dive into how that game went, with me and Ethan over here, go check that out on this YouTube page as well. But you know, we mentioned that this matchup is an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object. You know, even you said that perfectly because City still have not conceded a goal, and Philly's offense is fantastic. Of course, their first slip up being last week in their last matchup against Nashville. So this will be an interesting one to see. Definitely one to watch. Of course, for me, this is it. We're gonna have to see if Philly can keep their hot streak going, or are they gonna fall off right here?
And Grayson, I loved your descriptor of this game as a heat check for St. Louis City because if we are going to be a top class defense, we need to be able to stop top class attacks.
Mm-hmm.
Here is the league's leading goal scorer to stop. I rate this matchup. I think it's going to be very exciting. If you are a casual MLS fan and you want to see an exciting game, I would recommend this one. I also would recommend turning on Charlotte or versus San Jose. It's at the same time, so pick Philadelphia versus St. Louis, but that should be a fun game to talk about as well, Grayson.
Oh yeah, that one's gonna be
The
crazy.
the Sporting KC hate watches will continue as they take on LAFC this weekend. I think honestly that could be a good matchup as LAFC dropped points to Austin this weekend. So they are still a team looking to get their feet under them early on
Yeah.
in the season as well. The last game that I want to point out, Grayson, is going to be Vancouver versus Chicago because Chicago has very annoyingly won its last two games, and I'm not super happy about it. Hugo
Yeah.
Kuipers is randomly just scoring every game so far this season.
Yeah, I think Chicago is another one of those teams that is surprising. You know, they did add a lot of talent in the offseason.
A lot.
With Jonathan Bomba, of course, is probably the best name on their team. Zinkernagel, of course. But uh, I
And
think,
their outside back Gutman makes team of the match day for
uh,
match day 4.
yeah, I was a little bummed to see Henry Kessler on the bench of the team of the match day. I think he totally deserved to start.
Okay.
Um, so, whatever. But yeah, tricky ones. Tricky ones.
That I think those are the matchups that we're going to be talking most about next week. Do not forget to join us for City Boys Extra Time. Most likely Monday night next week. We'll have an announcement for you guys. We haven't figured out if it's Sunday or Monday night yet.
Yep. We're always out here either Sunday or Monday. Uh, we'll post the City Boys episode, sometime during the week as well. So just you'll catch us, and hopefully, Jacob will be moved in. We might have Jacob back for next week. We'll see.
That would be awesome.
It would be awesome indeed. So you know, stay tuned, City fam. We got a lot of stuff coming at you. The season's ramping up, so the MLS is getting good. I'm very excited for this year.
Can't wait to bring y'all another edition of Extra Time next week. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you are on YouTube. If you're on Spotify, please rate 5 stars, drop a comment on Spotify, and leave us a review. We really want to get good. We want to be the best spot. We want to be the best
The
podcast.
best.
So leave us a review and let us know how we can get better. Michael, we do need more of the bald guy next time.
There you go.
Give us that good old mug, Grayson. And last but not least, don't forget to tell your mother you love her. I love you, mom.
Love you, mom. Love you, dad too. I love my dad. I don't. He might be watching this. Dad, if you're watching this, cool guy.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
MLS.
MLS. MLS. Let's go.